Yes, hello. I am James Foden. Today it's the WNR584. It's AEW Full Gear. I'm not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show. It is the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
Hello. Yeah, it's been a while for AEW, so bear with us whilst we try to remember and catch up with everything that what went down. But had a lot of fun from the previous New Japan podcast. Looking forward to catching up with everything AEW.
Yeah, it's crazy how we catch up and then there seems to be more afterwards to catch up on. Do you know what I
Right?
mean?
Always is a constant cycle, I swear.
I know. Up next, our resident XC expert and New Japan demigod, and of course, honorary House of Torture member. It is Monty. How's it going, man?
Going great. Excited to be back talking about AEW. Like you guys mentioned, it's been a long time. So I don't know. I mean, I need this refresher. I'm actually this is going to be helpful for me in a lot of ways. But at the same time, uh, like you said, we will never be ahead. I think that's what I've learned. We will always just get used to it. We'll always be catching up.
Yeah, that's the spirit. Last but by no means least, well, let's get ready, let's get ready, let's get ready to rumble. Watch us wreck the mate, watch us wreck the mate, watch us make the right. Say, let's get ready to rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Get steady, and rumble. Everybody rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Get ready, get steady, and rumble. Everybody rumble. Yeah, come on. Let's get ready to rumble. The PJ to my Duncan or the Ant to my deck. It is Gina. How's it going, Gina?
Yes, I am here and I'm ready to rumble. Welcome, gang. I look forward to some AEW catch up. Like you said with Jax earlier, it feels like every time we're doing AEW, it's a long catch up before and after the shows. So yeah, I'm excited to dive straight in.
Yeah, the funniest thing ever that I had once, like a comment was, I said, "Oh, we cover everything," and someone just went, "Why?" And I had to ask myself that question. But we do it for everybody listening as well. It might not have the time. Do you know what I mean? To watch every Dynamite and Collision and the pay per views and the kickoffs and the 0 hours and the tailgate brawls and you know what I mean? Everything else in between, Gene. So we're doing them a service.
Exactly. We're doing them a service so they don't have to sit through all the hours every week watching all the shows.
Exactly. Just listen to us. We got a shitload to catch up on. Like we said, the start of the Continental Classic, Full Gear, and Blood and Guts. But we're going to start with Dynamite and Collision notes. We're going all the way back to Collision, the Day of the Dead. Takeshi and Okada took on Not the Acclaimed. Both teams showed the good and the bad of working together. Mercedes Moné beat Olympia with the CMLL Women's Championship on the line. All 12 competitors were announced for Women's Blood and Guts. And Bandido beat Mascara Dorado for the Ring of Honor Championship. And Jaxie, only one thing I've got to ask you. Can we just turn Collision into Ring of Honor already? It will give me an excuse
Mm.
not to watch it. Yeah, and I don't mind.
Well, I mean, it kind of feels like that, like they're kind of reminding us, oh yeah, don't forget that, Tony owns this too, sort of thing. And, I want to like actually get behind it and stuff, but I really just don't have the time. And like as such, like, it's almost like Collision is a Ring of Honor catch up on,
Mm.
like just getting a catch up from even the commentators who kind of remind us what's going on down there, you know?
Exactly. And no, I don't want to subscribe to Honor Club or whatever the fuck it's called. Dynamite started in a very WWE way. Tony Schiavone tried to announce the introduction of a new championship, the National Championship, which Ricochet and Lashley won in a Casino Battle Royal at Full Gear. I mean, Monty, it's weird. I did say give Ricochet a title. I didn't say create a new one. Do you know what I mean? This is Tony's problem. He doesn't listen right.
Yeah, and I just wonder, and this is again, everything you say these days, and I'm only doing this because I recently got into some arguments with some family about AEW. So they just let you know, AEW fans, they get kind of sensitive, especially with me. But the point I be making is like, I don't mind like championships. Like I'm not even, I watch New Japan. New Japan had way too belts the whole entire time I've ever watched. So I'm not really like personally a guy who always got to say this, but I do believe in AEW. Sometimes they run the risk. It's like Tony gets there, and he just not realizing how many like champion level talent that he have on the roster.
Mm.
And instead of instead of letting them all duke it out for like a few championships to make those belts feel important, everybody kind of gotta have like a whole different but like so look how many divisions he's already created even when you include the new women's belt even though I think those make sense to make so it's just again it's like I'm not really I don't think it's horrible but we already have run the risk we just talked about the Ring of Honor title not really meaning nothing even though I know that's like a B show thing you got other belts that really already don't have the same meaning we don't even know how to talk about the TNT title in the same way it probably should be talked about. So it's just so many belts that's left on the shelf. It's insane to me that they felt like, oh, okay, well, instead of giving Ricochet one of those other established belts to run with, let's just make a whole new belt for these few people here. It's like, wow, like it's just like again, Tony is having fun with his talent, and he's like, all right, I'll do it, but it definitely run the risk of making some of the other belts seem less important.
Yeah, without a doubt, and this is a problem when you consider between WWE and AEW, there's like probably over 30 championships, and that is just it's too much. It's too much, And then we like I say chuck in New Japan, all this lot, and you're probably dealing with upwards of 50, and that's just crazy. Who knows 50 champions? Samoa Joe interrupted the ops. He threatened the announcer until security and Hangman Adam Page made a save. Eddie Kingston and Hook soon ran down to even the odds. This led to main event of Ops versus Eddie, Page, and Hook, with Hobbs one making Hook submit for the second week of a row. As for the War Games advantage, sorry. As for the Blood and Guts advantage, Claudio and Darby beat Orange Cassidy and Garcia respectively. Megan Bain beat Mina. Shafir choked out Thomas Tony Storm on commentary. And on Collision, Jamie Hayter beat Sky Blue. Tekla beat Hardy Cameron. So the Hills have the advantage in the women's. Mox lost to Strong by countout. So the Faces have the advantage in the men's. I mean, Gina, does having the advantage really matter? Do you know what I mean? I mean, we had these matches, which I guess is kind of fun build up to the actual match itself as well,
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it helps just build more suspense for the matches themselves, really, than having an advantage on the match. I mean, again, you could say the advantage is them getting an extra teammate for 3 or 5 minutes. I can't remember however long it was. On their sides to even the favor, but it always kind of all of these matches, whether it's AEW, WWE, they always go the same way. Like they'll gang up on you, and then the next one will come out and even the odds, and they'll be on top, and then the next one will come out. It's always the same kind of way that they handle it. So in a way, it's not surprising, but it also, like I said, just confirms excitement, builds more excitement and memento towards the big match.
Yeah, without a doubt. On Collision, Bang Bang Gang upset FTR. And then we head to the Blood and Guts. Oh, I should mention as well, sorry, the women's tag tournament did continue. Harley and Willow upset Monet and Athena in a banger. Monet and Chris brawled afterwards. Jaxie, I mean, again, talk about another title getting introduced, but at least it's a women's tag and it seems to be delivering good matches. And again, Harley and Willow upsetting Monet and Athena. I mean, I didn't see that coming,
Yeah, I mean, I didn't either. And, like I want to hold hope out for these titles to continue to elevate sort of the women's division that actually is developing well within AEW. Thing is this tournament to sort of crown the first ever women's tag championships has gone on longer than the Continental Classic ever has. And there's certain times where I'm starting to forget that there's a competition at play right now for them. So I'm just kind of like, what is taking so long with these sort of face-off matches? Because you just get a real long time in between different weeks before these matches are actually aired. I don't really get what's sort of the hold up, but it just feels like they were announced a while ago to me. Or is that just me that feels like this?
No. Honestly, I thought the final would be at Full Gear. So when they
Yeah,
said
that's what I
there's going to
thought.
be a tag match setting up what the semi-finals would be, like you said, I was like, how
Yeah,
long is this being?
there was
dredged
a
up?
match just to that I'm pretty sure we'd talk about this because I think this might have happened after the announcement, but there was a match to then the winning team gets to decide a stipulation for a semi-final match or something.
Yeah.
It was I was like, why are we doing this? Just give the semi-final fucking match. it seems excuse after excuse. So I just don't know why they're taking so long to crown anyone. Um, and that's where my disappointment lies. Like, I'm excited for these belts and what it could do for the ladies, but like they were announced ages ago, and it's just kind of pissing me off at how long we're taking to crown someone.
Yeah, without doubt. No, I completely agree with you. We move on to Blood and Guts, and it was the first ever women's Blood and Guts. Sky Blue looked like she had suffered for a bloodbath from gangrel in this matchup, and the blood flowed early and often in the battle, where the two sides looked evenly matched throughout. The heels used their advantage well to wear out the faces. The Triangle Madness managed to escape the cage and pull out most of their competition. This left Mina and Storm overwhelmed in the ring, and the Timeless One quit to protect the one she loved in Mina. I mean, Monty, what were your thoughts on this? Because again, there was a lot of kind of build up to this, and I think the women did indeed deliver.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was just a very good. I think they've been doing a really good job building up to this, and I think that's one thing I will give them props on, at least as far as my anticipation, like getting ready for Blood and Guts, and the way the ladies have worked to kind of build up to this. It's been one of the best things AEW has been able to execute in the last few weeks, or just in general in AEW. If you ask me, at least the way they kind of kept this going. You got to think about how long this kind of been going. I think usually when people do a lot of this stuff against each other for this long, you always run the risk of people being like, "Man, how long is this gonna last?" You never want people to get that tired of it. But I think they've done a really good job of kind of weaving things together. Uh, in the ring and leading to a big time match that I at this point couldn't wait to see.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this being AEW, we did have a Falls Count Anywhere match afterwards. Hangman versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Page's first fight was against a turnbuckle pad, but after a fun encounter, Hangman threw Hobbs through an equipment box, which of course exploded. Joe and Shibata beat the champ after, as they asked for the cage to come down. Eddie and Hook made the save. Gina, you gotta love AEW. Because it's like two blood and guts match. What should we put? Oh yeah, we'll have Hobbs getting blown up. There we go.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely what they plan. AEW, they tell us what we're literally going to get, blood and guts.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Like, FTR beat up Ricky Steamboat with Brodito making the save. And then the men's blood and guts, Briscoe refused to remain, ruled out and arrived with weapons to turn the tide. Gabe Kidd arrived to help take out Darby Allin, seemingly spelling doom for the babyface team. Even with Daredevil out of the picture, the conglomeration took out the Death Riders and sealed the win when O'Reilly made Moxley tap out to a grapevine ankle lock. Jaxie, O'Reilly was a mess, but again, there's no doubt this is the biggest win. And what were your thoughts on the match itself and O'Reilly? Because I think he did impress.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think going into this match, I'm pretty sure I actually said to my sister, "Oh wow, I mean, this is going to be like R.I.P. to Kyle O'Reilly in this situation." Do you know what I mean? I thought this might have been some sort of easy sort of like gang build up, and just an excuse to kind of take a member of the member of the team out. Um, but I really cannot tell you how pleasantly surprised I was of Carl picking up that win, but also just how incredible like he looked in the match. Like, I think it's taken a bit of a build up in a while, but I do believe that this sort of build up and hype around Kyle O'Reilly like really did sort of like start with his match against Carl Fletcher. We really were able to see some of his talents and just what he can really do. And I think that he's growing popularity, and this win like is humongous for him. This is a humongous win for him. He's definitely got a lot of momentum behind him. And I was pleasantly shocked to see this. There's not amount of times where I actually think to myself, well, this guy's not going to get buried, and it actually not happen. So clearly that Tony sees something in O'Reilly, and right now he's pushing it.
Without a doubt. We also saw Orange Cassidy get stapled inside his jeans. Darby Allin, of course, on fire with glass and everything else as well. On to Collision, Mox was on commentary. In the Battle of the Marks, Briscoe beat Davis. Fletcher retained versus Scorpio Sky. In the main event, FTR, Sammy Guevara and Roosh lost to Juice, Jet Speed and Bandido. On the go-home Dynamite, which was 3 hours with Collision, Lashley defeated Ricochet to earn the #1 spot in the National Championship Casino Gauntlet. Benjamin is number 2 after beating Speedball in a good match. And the Bucks didn't pull the BTE trigger on Kenny, which I guess is a big story. I mean, Monty, when we talk about AEW, I think, the Young Bucks and the Kenny Omega story is one of those, the kind of glue that's held it together. Do you know what I mean? And I think it might be more for like the hardcore fans as well as the people maybe
Yeah.
watching AEW for the first time,
Yeah, it always feels like fan service. I guess is the way it kind of feels because it's just like if you know how deeply rooted or how personal this is, especially if you're a big fan of the Bucks or Kenny for that matter, and you know that, or if you've been watching, or if you can be a New Japan fan of the last 6 years and know how tight these three were at a time. And even when you weave in Hangman's relationship with them off and on throughout the story of AEW, it's always been something. Whether they were together on AEW television when it was them, when it was the Bucks and Kenny, or whether they've been apart from each other or like against each other. They are like you said, just like it wouldn't. I don't know. I don't even know if this was still if you kicked people like the Bucks out or their style of storytelling, in my opinion. If you took that away from AEW immediately starts to look, you know, like a completely different company almost, in my opinion. Like you said, if you think about how intertwined they've been over the last 5 years with AEW, it's just in every way possible, whether it's the social media presence, whether it's the origin of AEW, all the way to the stories they're telling now. It's really crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like to talk about when it comes to that. Kenny Omega, I say, maybe not in the best condition now, but there's no doubt in, even with the story with Hangman and stuff like that, and what Page has now become with the story with Swerve, wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for, like I said, Kenny and the Bucks at the beginning. The Death Riders beat Cassidy and Strong and attacked them after. Kyle O'Reilly arrived. He got Mox to tap out to an ankle lock again and challenged him to a full gear, no holds barred match. Storm and Mina defeated Windsor and Rio to advance to the semi-finals of the Women World Tag Team Championship Tournament. In the other quarterfinal, Megan Bain and Marina Shafir beat Ty Conte and Anna Jay. Gina, I don't think really any upsets in those matches, but again, we talk about how drawn out it is, but they are still delivering when they get the chance.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I may complain about how long things are drawn out for, but it doesn't mean that it's not still entertaining all the same. I literally was just about to say the feud with, I can't say the word, the conglomeration.
Conglomeration.
Yeah, these guys. Don't get me wrong, like I like all the guys involved. I've lost the plot on caring. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, but don't get me wrong, every time I'm watching a match of theirs, it goes hard. It goes really well. The guys are great wrestlers, but I think I'm just so overseeing the same guys in the same sort of feuds. It is very repetitive for me, but it is very entertaining all the same.
Carter beat Dorado. In the big two matches, Hangman survived the most dastardly tactics of Shibata, slipped out the wrestler's ankle lock with his boot coming free, and connected with Buckshot Lariat to win. And for the World TV Championship Unification match, Mercedes Moné beat Red Velvet. But I've got to say, Jaxley, how good was Red Velvet in this match? She is obviously improved leaps and bounds, and there was moments where I thought, oh, Mercedes might be in trouble, and that's crazy to think that at this moment in time.
I mean, yeah, I think I know that previously, before this, Red Velvet was having a great feud with Athena, and doing a lot of great work. So it's really great to actually see like sort of like all of that come to sort of fruition. This again, like you said, Red Velvet looked great, and to be honest, really impressed me after I don't really keep up with the matches and watch Ring of Honor weekly. Seeing her like this, yeah, very much impressive, and like really overcome like so much in terms of like where she was at when she first joined AEW.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right, so let's get to it then. November 22nd, we've got Zero Hour, which was Renee, Double J, and RJ City, with Lexi there as well. It was a mess, as there was matches going on in the background that, of course, were in a tailgate brawl. Renee did say O'Reilly got lucky and Tekla joined for a bit, but apart from that, it's just pointless. It really is. On the tailgate brawl, we missed the first 5 minutes of the opener, but I didn't really mind that. It was the $200,000 prize. It was the Bang Bang Gang versus the Outrunners versus Bowens and Castor versus Bill and Keith. It was, spirited opener. Juice managed to catch Bowens with roll up for the 3 count, winning all the money through his and the Guns 401k investments. Monty, what were your thoughts on this to start us off?
Hey man, they don't even try to hide it. Like this is the most what a random stipulation, man. It's just like, oh man, all right. I think I've mentioned this before on here, man. When in doubt, it's starting to feel like when in doubt. If you don't have any stakes to put on the match, Tony just say, "I'm just gonna give you guys money."
But the
That's
thing is,
that's the stipulation.
if it
If
was
you
WWE
win, you
doing
get.
it, it'd be like these are Saudi Arabian blood money, but because it's Tony Khan, everything's fine. You know what I mean?
It's just funny. I love it. I love it. I love how simplistic it is. It's random though. I think it was what it was. I thought they did a decent job. It's good to see the Bang Bang Gang, doing their thing and then back together. At least Juice Robinson, I know, and was gone, so it's great to see him back. But I thought this was fine. I didn't think it was anything, other than like Max Caster and Anthony Bourne. That's probably the most interesting thing that kind of happened in the match, like their dynamic of what's going on with this new version of the Acclaim. But really, uh, it was solid. I don't think it was much of it though. To be honest, it was okay, but I don't think it was great. But it just like you said, I opened the match, random stipulation, but it got us through the first part of the show. I guess it wasn't
What
even
would
10
you?
minutes.
No,
Five. It was
not at all.
barely 5 minutes or something like this. Yeah, it was
Uh,
rough.
what would you give it out of 5?
Uh, just I think a solid 3, man. It was like I said, it was okay.
Gina, I mean, anything to add to it really, but what's your score out of 5 as well?
Yeah, I agree with most of Monty's comments, to be honest. The most interesting thing was the almost scissoring that we got between the Acclaimed. But then Bowens was just mad at Max for not being there when he got rolled up anyway, and Max got hit out. So their little feud seems to be lame, if you ask me. But yeah, it did what it did. I think a majority of the match was in ads anyway, so I can't really remember too much else about this match. So I mean, I'll give it a 3.
Mm. Jax?
Yeah, again, really not anything else to add on that. I'll give it a 3 overall, but like nothing memorable came from it. And I just really feel like we just need to die down on the pre-show matches that no one can watch.
Yeah, true that. I'm going to give it 3.5. Predictions, WNR Prediction League 2025. This is for Full Gear and Survivor Series. The bonus league right now. Gina on 14, Jackson on 16, I'm on 17, Monty on 19. The WWE League, James on 5, that's me. Jaxie Gina on 7, Monty on 10. And the AEW, Jaxie James locks on 1, Gina on 3, Monty on 4. So still all to play for. We all went bang bang gang, apart from me, who went for the Acclaimed. Do you know at this point, I'm not even sure I watch AEW. You know that. I just don't. I don't know. I'm on 0. The rest is on 1. We got Boom and Doom versus Vapungi Vice. Next, Paul White joined commentary for Big Boom. Big Boom Pyro made a panel jump on 0 Hour. And with an assist from Big Justice and a right hand from Paul White, Marshall and Big Boom AJ hit a Doomsday blockbuster for the victory on Beretta. Gina, what were your thoughts on this? I'm sorry. I'm sorry to do this, dear.
Oh, I was really hoping you wouldn't give me this match to review because if I'm being honest, I was in the kitchen making noodles.
Well,
That's how much I cared for this match. I mean, to be honest, I'm really not interested in the doom and gloom or whatever they're called, the boom and gloom guys. So I don't really have much to comment. I think it's, as Monty said like earlier, like a bit of a fan service match. Um I think it was nice to see Paul White, that I can comment on. But yeah, I wasn't really too interested in this match. I felt it was just a fan service match for those who are really big fans of the Boom guy. And I'm happy for them. But yeah, this match I didn't really care for. So a 3 from me.
Nicely done. But Jax, again, I mean, Gina's saying like the celebrity, I say celebrity involvement with, I don't really mean that, but they might actually just be signed and talent. Do you know what I mean? Because they're there all the time, and I just don't know who's flocking in to see these guys. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I am starting to believe that they are signed, but I've got absolutely no interest in them either. And like I just kind of end up feeling sorry for the talent that end up having to job out to them, because like if you do like take a look at it, I think they've only taken one L really. Um and they're just like they're not memorable. That's the problem. They only turn up on pre-shows on 0 hours, where right now half of the people that watch it across different countries and channels don't even get a chance to watch them. So they're very forgettable, and that's not to actually say that those that do follow them and are fans of them aren't right to do so, but half of us just don't see them often enough to actually feel like we care about whether or not they get a win here or not in any of the matches.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. What would you score this one?
Um, I'm gonna give this a 2 3/4.
2 3/4. Monty, again, I don't even know who these guys are, and I think you said before you don't. So again, who's it appealing to? I don't know.
And I never cared to even get Google for clarification. I just I just realized I don't need to know, and it is what it is. But I didn't Google Jelly Roll. He was forced upon me. Anyway, but yeah, these celebrity things. I think I mentioned, like you said, you guys. I was actually going to pose a question, like, are any of you guys caring or feeling anything at all about Big Boom, about the celebrity stuff? Because they keep putting them in matches, so I'm assuming somebody like them. Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, so something's got to be happening.
But you
Yeah.
guys, then I heard what you guys were saying. I'm like, wow, I was gonna be nice about it. But yeah, no, I don't. I obviously don't get anything from this, and but I'm wondering who actually does. Now, I do think this wasn't like bad by any means. I don't want to act like it wasn't like a basically good, pretty good wrestling match for people who are not professionals. But at the same time, I just don't really care whenever this happens. So I guess it's good that they keep it on the pre-show, or you can be mad and be like, "Can we finally cut these cards down a little bit by leaving stuff like this off the pre-show?" But it is what it is. Yeah, I give it like 3 stars. I guess it didn't. It wasn't too. It wasn't horrible, but I'm just not interested.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3. Predictions. Well, okay. Prediction wise, I know I'm gonna get shit from you guys now. All right, each of you, I know I am. But this time of year, it's not the nice, James. All right. So when you guys send me predictions, make sure you check you have sent all the predictions, because I will not ask you. If it's pre WrestleMania, I'll be like, oh guys, there's 13 shows instead of 12 or whatever it is. But at this moment, I need it. I need it. Okay. And Monty, you didn't give me a prediction for this, and I'm taking it. All right. I'm taking it. I'm taking it. So Gina went Roppongi Vice. James and Jaxie went Boom. So Monty, Gina, James on 1, Jaxie on 2. Just gonna leave it there. The Workhorseman brought the fight to Hook and Eddie right away, but the Mad King was not having it. He put away Henry with a DDT for the victory. I don't even know if this is worth talking about, Jaxie, because this was just a complete squash with Eddie and Hook
Oh yeah.
involved.
I don't really know what happened in that match. Like it was there and it was done within seconds. Like I literally think that I ran to the bathroom and came back and it was done. So I don't really have much to add. It was just there, and I'm just like I guess the only thing I have to say on this is it gets a 2.5 from me because I don't really remember it. And not only that, but this just does nothing for Eddie, and I think Eddie's comeback to wrestling should have been like much bigger by this point. Obviously we're talking at this point and not anything that's post Full Gear. So for me this just did nothing.
Yeah. What would you score it?
I said 2.5.
Yeah, I said 10.
I went to
So
the
I'm
bathroom and
sorry.
it was already freaking done.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. Okay. Monty, the thing is, Jackson makes an excellent point about Eddie, but Eddie's not kind of a supreme athlete, so to speak, and he has been out a while, so maybe he needs time just to get a few matches under his belt to get up to full fitness, so to speak, you know?
Or do that on Khalid or something. You know,
Right.
do that. Why don't you give him more matches on TV? Like, just give him a match every week if you feel like you need to ramp it up. But don't like. And I'm not saying he's not wrestling enough. It's just like I don't need shoehorn stuff. I don't need like a 2 minute version of that on my pay per view card. Like again, this is something else that could have been cut, so we could just be already on the main. We're putting more time towards something on the main card. That's more important because like it's just a waste in my opinion of the talent of Eddie Kingston and Hook, and. So I just don't know why we needed this here, but you know, I think you just supposed to feel like I felt like the last time we talked about this. I was like, well, it's good to see Eddie back while they slowly, get him, work him up to it, if that's how you feel, James. But no, I don't. Like I said, I don't think that's the guy. I feel like if you really want to see if he's ready or not, just put him in matches, and then you give him the storyline when you think he's ready, or actually give him. If you're gonna put him on a card, let's actually get a reason. The best thing about Eddie Kingston when he was at his best is the storytelling with some of the other talent in AEW, and it just hasn't been the case so far.
Yeah, what would you call it? Sorry.
Uh, I agree with Jackson. I 2.5. I probably want to take. I want to take Big Boom down to 2.5. But yeah, just 2.5.
Gina?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same 2.5. It is what it is. I agree with Monty and Jax.
That would be their name, actually, together, Mox.
It would be.
Sweet.
Which is better than Jamina. No, hang on, I'll come back to that.
Oh
Two
wow.
point 2.95 predictions. All Hook and Eddie. So Jackson on 3, the rest on 2. And then you've got CMLL World Trios Championships. El Sky Team versus the Don Callis family. Okada was not in the building as Takeshita and Henchicero made their entrances. The Rainmaker finally arrived in his Ferrari and made his slow entrance to the ring, complete with pyro. After Okada and Takeshita continued to struggle, El Prince de Platelia Olo made Henchicero tap out with La Mystica. Yes, I have been watching AAA. Monty, what were your thoughts on this?
I thought this was decent. You can tell. Again, this one thing I will say, they do a good job of kind of ramping things up. You know what I mean? So at least closer to when we get to full gear. You know what I mean? So they do this all the time on their pre-show. I thought this was decent. Could have been better, but really great for the pre match. So I thought this was good. I thought, I wish that again, kind of, and it's kind of funny because they wasted however long it took Eddie Kingston and them to do their match. They could have gave this a little bit more time because I thought it was, going well. They ramped it up pretty well, going towards the main show. And I don't know, man. I think at the end of the day, you can't really go wrong with these teams if you think about it. I mean, Okada and at this point in the story with Takeshita, we all know where we're going with it, and the anticipation. They're doing a good job building the anticipation, but this is really good. This is good. Okada is a great shithead. I'm not just calling him a shithead or calling him names at this point in just because of what he's doing or just because of leaving New Japan. He's just a shithead in general at this point, and he loves it. And that's one of the best parts about this. But this is pretty good.
Yeah. What would you give it out of 5?
I'll give it a 4.
Give it a 4. Yeah. I mean, again, as we mentioned, this went from the 0 hour or tailgate brawl, as you call it, into the main show. Much like the previous pay-per-view as well that we saw, which again, Gene, is not too bad. We don't want to see it too often. Do you know what I mean? Like, actually have a proper opening sometimes.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with that. I also agree with this match. I think the Okada and Takeshita storyline was probably the main focal point. for the match, but it was still good. The guys who were involved is like I said earlier, where I'm like, you have these random feuds or these long-standing feuds that just have a random match, but it's actually good still, even though there's no like hype behind it. And obviously the
Mm,
storyline was mainly focused on the other two rather than the rest of the guys in the match, but they all still did well. So I enjoyed it. I'll give it a 4 as well.
before. Yeah, Jackson. I mean, the card is just a prick. Do you know what I mean? He just
Yeah,
is. I can't
but
believe
I
you
love
like him.
it. I love it. I can't help myself. It's just hilarious. And like he's just having the best time. So it's pretty hard not to actually just enjoy watching him just enjoy his best life right now, you know?
Yeah.
But I agree with the score as well, all around.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3.5. My only thing was again Takeshi Nakada. I understand with Wrestle Kingdom coming up with the big matches, but if they're not going to be featured that prominently on AEW television, then let them go to New Japan and maybe have a couple of matches in the build-up. I don't know. Maybe I just got caught up in the New Japan podcast last week, and I'm dreaming, but. That's what I thought. 3.5 predictions. Gina went Don Callis family. The rest went Sky Team. So Jaxie on 4, James and Monty on 3, Gina on 2. Then we got Pac versus Darby Allen, and Allen refused to give up no matter what Pac threw at him. The Daredevil finally managed to lock in his Scorpion Deathlock, but the bastard called in Utah. He distracted Allen and the referee to allow Pac to hit him with Sting's bat and get the 3 count. Gina, I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Because Pac, again, is such a weird story where he seems to be making it at certain points, like even now, and then we just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because I kind of feel like since Mox took his first L in a long time, I thought that was going to be the downfall of the Death Riders. But it seems to be, like one of those charts that just goes up and down, up and down, up and down. Like one week they've all lost their matches, the next week they've all won them. So it's really difficult to know going into this match, wait, who is going to get the win here? Especially because Pac has recently come back. Are they going to continue to push him, or are they going to give Darby the win because he's very popular, everyone loves him, and we all want to see him get the win over the Death Riders? So it's just an up and down with the Death Riders for sure. One week they're up, one week they're down, and it's like who was going to get the win here, especially because we know that there are other Death Rider matches on the match card.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I agree with you there. I mean, Jaxie, does this hurt Darby Allen after his big win over Mox and then losing to Pac now?
Mm, I'm not. I don't really think so. I think, like in my opinion, personally, I think what hurt Darby Allin more is like needing to have like sort of like Daddy Sting come out of retirement just to like help him pull over a win at one point. Do you know what I mean? So I think if anything, right now, as my sister sort of pointed out, like Pac's really not had much momentum since joining the Death Riders in terms of a singles push. So this is good, like for him in terms of like potentially what he may be going into storyline wise. Giving it off. I feel like Darby is such a fan favorite that right now he could afford to take a loss here. Overall, though, I thought both wrestlers worked so well together, and they really did create a great opening match. Sort of like if we're not talking about the run over type.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, I agree with you. Monty, again, could Pac be the leader of the Death Riders? Do the Death Riders need a leader, Do we care? These are questions.
That last one is a really good one because I stopped. I thought everybody told me they wanted Moxley to lose the belt because they stopped caring. Like he was just, and now Moxley's on TV, and he hasn't really left. I give him props for that. I'm not saying he should leave, but yeah, man, the Death Riders still have legs and they still tormenting people in their own way. But I don't know, man. I'm not sure if Pac should take over or if I don't know if I can see anybody really do anything with the Death Riders. I think once this incarnation of them goes, uh, it probably should be over. But I mean, maybe a possibly Death Riders have some legs. I never really considered it, but I do think it's good to see him back, and I thought it's good to get him the win because of like the thing is about Darby. Does this hurt Darby? I do think you can make an argument, but I think at the same time, uh, somehow Darby, if you really think about it, Darby, don't really win a lot. He wins, but he not really like he not what I would consider somebody who like they book dominantly or like super Darby in a sense. Yeah, I don't even think he wins as much as like Orange Cassidy did at one point, if you know what I mean. Like he put himself through a lot, so it's like Darby losing here does not hurt Darby because Darby is like almost indestructible, at least in the way AEW is kind of built him. And then Pac, uh, I thought benefited more from this. So I like the decision, and I thought the match itself was okay. I don't think they could have a bad match together if you really think about what they're both capable of. And I think Pac has been underrated for so long, and we know some of it is out of sight, out of mind type. So I would love for Pac to actually get a push, whether that's leading the Death Riders or just finally kind of going on a run, because if you know what Pac has always had the potential to be, he's world champion material underneath this Death Riders absence, or like or underneath his role in the Death Riders. But I do believe at the same time, it'd be interesting to see the future of the Death Riders long term, because I wouldn't be mad at a Pac Moxley feud down the line.
Yeah, without a doubt. And like I said, Pac, I remember him beating Kenny Omega in one of the early AEW pay-per-views. No, so again, he has been
All right.
quite well protected in certain ways. So scores out of 5. Then Gina, what would you give it? Start us off on the main show.
Sorry, score for this match.
Yeah.
Um, I'll give it a 3 3/4. I thought it was good. I think the ending for me was a little disappointing because it's kind of the standards for Death Riders at the moment, with Wheeler coming out and causing a distraction, that sort of thing. So I think the ending was just a little bit lame, but aside from that, it was still a good match.
I think the issue with Derby as well, because it's a baseball bat, you'd be like, it's not a gun. Do you know what I mean? Or something that could
We've seen you
seriously
take worse
fuck up.
bumps, Darby. We've seen you take
Yeah,
worse.
yeah. Go over it, Derby. Jaxie?
I really enjoyed this match. I'll give it a 4.
And Monty?
Same. I gave it a 4.
Yeah, I gave it 4 1/4 predictions. I didn't get a prediction from Jaxie for this, so I'm taking it. I can get
What?
Monty
Yes,
went.
you did. Yes, you did.
No, I
Because I
didn't.
thought,
No, I didn't. I looked through. I double checked. I triple checked. I 100 checked. I checked and checked and checked. Go
well, I
back and
mean,
check. I knew you'd kick off. I knew you would.
to be honest, like I've got it written down here in my notes, and I mean, I did lose anyway. I went Mox.
Well, don't tell me that. Just go with it. All right. Just go
Well, you
with
wouldn't
it.
have taken it anyway because you've not
No, I
given.
haven't taken it. It doesn't matter. All right. Just
No.
something to say. Everything's gonna work out in the end.
All
Right.
right.
Anyway. All right. Monty went Pac. Gina and I went
Okay.
Alan. So Monty and Jaxie on 4. James was 3. Gina on 2. The Timeless Love Bombs versus the Sister of Sin versus the Babes of Wrath versus Bane and Shafir. This was be able to pick your semi-final match for some reason. I don't know why. After early stretches dominated by Bane and Shafir, as well as the Sisters of Sin, Storm took the ring and would not let it go. The Timeless Bond and the Wrath went back and forth with pinning attempts that ended with Storm catching Harley with a big package to win. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this?
Sorry, and this is the babes match.
Yeah, four-way tag.
Yeah, like I thought this was a good match. Again, I think like going back to my earlier comment about like sort of this like this the reason for this match being like based on a stipulation for the semi-final. Like I was still confused as to why this just wasn't the semi-final on the Full Gear match, or like because they hadn't chosen like I think they were one match behind. Why that match wasn't on Full Gear at least then, it felt very odd for this type of stipulation of a match to be on a pay-per-view event. I don't know if I'm making sense here, but like it just felt awkward. uh it was a good match. Like all 4 teams really showed like why they're in the running for these tag belts. I just think that we've gotten a little bit lost with adding stipulations to each match for some reason before a semi-final. Like
Yeah.
it just like made no sense to me. So even though I thought it was a good match, like Like, I've given it a 3.5 because it was a good match. The women all did great in it, but I was kind of disappointed with having this match on the match card instead of the semi-final. Or if they'd have like kept up with this weekly, it could have been the finals on there. We could have tagged like crowned new tag champions on this match card. It made no sense to me. So yeah,
Wow.
it's kind of getting downgraded a little bit because of that. And I'm really sorry to the women in this match for getting a bit downgraded in terms of the caliber. But I just feel like this match didn't need to be on here.
Yeah, I see what you've done there. No, me and Monty talk about this on the NXT. You've used logic, you see, and that's the issue with
Yeah.
when it comes to wrestling. You got
Exactly. I don't think TK has any.
just
Mm.
don't no any wrestling any just don't. We get
We
hurt for
shouldn't
watching the
have,
product
yeah.
weekly. Do you know what I mean? That's our issue.
We shouldn't
You know,
expect stuff to make sense, you
no,
know? Like why
no,
like we're too determined. Like, we
yeah,
shouldn't actually expect that.
yeah.
That was
I
our
mean,
bad.
Monty, it's hard to see Jaxie learning the hard way. You know,
Oh, shut up, James.
it's true.
You truly never learn either because it happens every time. It happens every time. It's very funny like you said, just how long we've been doing this, but like it doesn't take long for you to end up just looking at it like, God, Lee, it's like, dang, like it don't make sense how they do things on a week to week basis, and then they just expect you to just forget about it, or you just move on. This is how it's happening. It's just like, okay, all right, that don't make sense, but all right, let's just watch it. And after a while, you get numb to it.
But it wasn't a bad match like we talk about. You know.
Oh, it wasn't. No, it wasn't bad, and it was unusual at times, but it was good. I thought the match itself was the best part of this. I think just seeing them all in there and doing their thing. I think my biggest complaint. I feel like I say this all the time. It's just you have all. I love that we have all these women at one, in one match on this card on pay per view. As much as we complain about just them doing this, but I do think when you think about what we talked about was on the pre-show and like how they could spread out doing more matches than this match and then only one other women's match on this card. It's just always interesting to me how I should just like I think we should be just happy like let's clap because sometimes we don't even get this many women on the card at all, right? So yeah, I'm happy this is what's going on, but at the same time, it's like you could have did more with women throughout the night. But anyway, this was a good match, and I think, like you said, the ladies did the best with what they could. It may have kind of felt like filler because of like you kind of mentioned with its awkward placement being here on this card, but I thought it was a fine enough job showcasing what they're trying to do with the tag division, and you kind of got a chance to see everybody get a little bit of their stuff in. And yeah, man, I thought the match itself was good. I think 3.5 is actually like fair, but it wasn't anything special, and I don't think that's any fault of the ladies.
No, I mean, Bane with a double German was very impressive, and like I said, I enjoyed it. Gina, would it be fair to say Storm and Mina are favourites now for tag team gold?
Yeah, definitely. I think Storm has always, been the favorite for gold, hence all the runs that she's had with the AEW women's title. And I do remember saying to Jax a couple of months ago that if Tony's not going to be in the women's main title picture after losing it, they might shift her into the tag title picture so that she still has a championship and is still up there with the champs in some way. Because I just know how much she's loved by the company and the fans themselves. And Mina's just overall loved. Every time she comes out, she gets a big pop, even if it's a singles match. So them together, it just, is great for the fans and the company. But I'm not mad at it. We always knew that they had a great relationship before AEW in other promotions, so it works well. They've got great chemistry with each other, and you always smile when you see them on screen.
Yeah, right. What would you give out of 5?
Yeah, it was a good match. I feel like Marina botched a few moves, which was a bit awkward. But aside from that, I think it was still good. I'll give it 3 3/4.
3 or 4. Yeah, I do not like the way she lays on the canvas waiting for that mother's milk. It's just saying. I just don't know. I don't know why, but I just don't like it. No, I'm gonna give it a 4. Low predictions. Gina and Monty went Sisters of Sin. I went Bane, and Jaxie went Tony. So Jaxie's on 5, Monty's on 4, I'm on 3. Gina's on 2. There's the World Tag Team Championships next. Brodido versus FTR. And Bandito and King kept fighting no matter what FTR threw at them. But the experience of Dax and Cash was too much for Brodido to overcome. After multiple times attempting to take out King, they took out the big man with a spike pile driver on the apron. This left Bandito to take a spike pile driver, followed by a shatter machine. And your new NXT AEW Tag Team Champions FTR. Monty, what are your thoughts on this? You know, there's so much talk. I mean, Brodido, what were your thoughts first before I add?
Yeah, man. I think Brodito's reign had kind of ran its course, even though I thought they were still doing good and they had a really good team as far as wrestling quality and match go. But I think we all knew this was kind of coming when it came to getting FTR back into the championship position. I mean, I think we all feel like this was probably the right choice. They're over, and they're doing what they do best. As bad guys in AEW. And we are, and I thought Rodito was some good champions, and I thought this match was very fast paced and really, really fun. And it was some moments where you had some good near falls in there too. Like this is some good tag team wrestling. Whether you agree with the result of who won or not, but I thought FTR really showcased how great they are once again. A very underrated, always top tier tag team who have really been doing some of their best work lately, and I thought this was a good way to kind of showcase that and crown them. So this was good.
Yeah, like I said, a great tag team match. Gina, like we mentioned, Brodido exceeded expectations. You know, when it came to what they've actually done here, and FTR again, as Monty mentioned, just deliver great tag team matches. You know, just put them in a tag team match and they'll do it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I will admit that I felt like the tag belts and the tag division was going a little stale before Brodido won the belts. And I think that kind of, gave it a breath of fresh air in a way or something, I think Brodido are really loved and really over, and they're really great as a face team. And yeah, FTR, like you said, can pretty much do no wrong in their matches. So it was a great match. I saw this outcome coming, especially when FTR lost the belts in the first place, because I wasn't expecting it then. So I did kind of see them getting it back and yeah, continuing their run with it. But either way, I'm not mad at it. I just, I hope Brodido get another chance with them someday.
Yeah, without a doubt. And like I said, hopefully they will stick around as a tag team. There was a couple of moments, Jaxie, in this match that I loved. Big Stoke saving Cash from a diving king, and then the Stokely's dead chant. But also Bandido, after he kicked out Spike Power Driver, he stood up and aimed his hand guns at both men for the kind of iconic image for that fighting spirit before he was
Mm.
eventually put away, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there were some real like sort of comical moments during this, but I do think like this went over really well. I think Brodito still looked really good in this match, even though they like ended up taking the L here. But it was just a lot of fun. I could tell that right now FTR are having fun with this heel run. And I'm not mad at it. It's been quite enjoyable watching them just kind of do what they want to do with this run. Like they're talking a lot of shit on the mic, and things like this. It's just been brilliant. So
Stokely's being a bitch.
yeah, it's kind of just been fun to watch. So I think this was the right call here, because right now there is a lot of heat on FTR as a heel team, and it's working. So why not start pushing another baby face to then potentially sort of overcome them. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, as you said, we are just waiting for Cope and Cage to get back now, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? And have that face off.
Yeah,
But
no,
again,
I
it'll still be
mean,
good.
if it's ever going to get there, I hope so, but I don't know how much longer either of them have left in them. So it depends on when they're looking to like make their return.
Probably Wells End. So scores out of 5 then. Monty, what would you give it?
This is really good, man. I think I'll go 4 3/4.
4 3/4, Gina.
Yeah, I'll go same 4 3/4.
Jackson.
Yeah, I've got 4 3/4 as well.
It shows how jaded I am. I went 4.5. Predictions all went FTR. So Jackson on 6, Monty's on 5, I'm on 4, Gina's on 3. The National Championship Casino Gauntlet was next. Lashley and Benjamin opened the match and they took it slow with basic grappling. Ricochet arrived and sent the GOA out to take out all of the Hurt Syndicate. It took a while for the Almighty and the Gold Standard to get back in the action, but there were so many wrestlers involved to allow the Hurt Syndicate to stay dominant. Ricochet slipped in at the end, catching Kevin Knight with a spirit gun for the victory, and your new champion is Ricochet. In the order of entrance, if anybody's interested: Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, Ricochet, Claudio, Daniel Garcia, Orange Cassidy, Willie Uta, Kevin Knight, Roderick Strong, Mark Davis, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Daddy Magic. Gina, what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I thought this was really good. Again, I do enjoy gauntlet matches because you do get that excitement of, who's going to be coming out, who's going to be in this. I enjoyed seeing everybody that was involved. I think everyone gave it their all. There were some people that I kind of forgot was in the match because they were just outside of the ring for a long time, and then all of a sudden they just roll back in the ring and you forget like they were a part of the match. But I still enjoyed it. I think I think the ending um I think the ending was fair. I don't think I gave a prediction for this, but I think I left it out on purpose because I really just didn't know who else was going to be in this match. Um so yeah, I think like with regards to that, I just didn't bother to try. But still,
Right.
I
Okay.
enjoyed the match. I thought it was
Well,
good.
yeah. I'm not about to say, at least, at least there's a reason for it, looking at the other
Yeah.
two. Thank you, Gina, for telling me. I
No,
appreciate
that's okay. I was going to say I remember not giving a prediction for this match just because I really couldn't call it. So I just left this one out. But
Yeah.
regardless, I still enjoyed the match. I actually will give this a 4 1/4 as well because again, like I said, I enjoy gauntlet matches, seeing who comes out next. So yeah,
Yeah.
and I
See how
think I
easy.
think the winner deserved it.
Yeah, that's how easy that was, Jaxie, eh? See what Gina telling the truth there. So anyway, Ricochet winning, he did deserve it, didn't he?
Yeah, I definitely think he
Yeah,
did with everything that he's done on the show for the past few weeks.
definitely. I'm kind of like, you know, I feel like so my choice here was Bobby Lashley. And I felt like it was going to be either of the two that would win. And it would either be Bobby Lashley winning overall and then like Ricochet just stopping non-stop until he got that title off him, or it was going to be the other way around. So I took the wrong risk here. But overall, I think I have to agree with a lot of the comments. I thought this worked really well. But going back earlier to what you said about this title, James, like it just feels like they were like, oh, we don't have a belt for Ricochet yet, but he really deserves one. So let's just make one and put it on him. That's really what it has felt like they've done here. I'm not mad at it, but at the same time, I'm kind of confused as to how many belts AEW has now because sometimes they feature him, sometimes they don't.
What would you give it out of 5, Jax?
Uh, I think this was a good match. I'm gonna give it a 4.
Give it a 4, yeah. I mean, Monty, and again, there was something we haven't talked about with the national title because obviously they said it date back 40 years to where originally on TBS, but NWA have said their national title was still ongoing. Not that anybody cares, but I thought I should just add that just in case. But again, a gauntlet with the right result, basically.
Yeah, man, I think Ricochet deserved it. He earned it, and I think at the end of the day, even though I do think it's like just another championship, like just mentioned that's probably gonna we'll see how prominent it gets, or if it is prominent, it doesn't get any storylines, after this initial Ricochet, because I'm assuming they at least got something planned going forward with Ricochet with the belt. So I do think he deserves it. He's earned it, and I think everybody in this match got time to shine. I think that's what I kind of like the most about it. It was this. If you like Gauntlet matches, I think this can be a really good one. Mark Davis, it was cool. He did really well. Kevin Knight was shine in this one too. And then like man, I mean Claudio, you talked about like Pac taking over. Like if Claudio wanted to, the way he wrestles sometimes still, it's just like man, how is he not just killing everybody in the company? So yeah, man, I thought, and then of course you got Bobby and Shelton and Roger Strong. So it was just a really good, well, like the talent who made an appearance all did well, and then we got the right result. You can't really ask for much more, in my opinion. I thought this did well, and we'll see. We'll see if the national title actually ends up being something, of lineage for AEW, and hopefully they treat it well. But we'll see because they are racking up the titles, and somebody is going to get only like collision matches from now on or something. You know what I mean? Like something's going to get
Yeah.
sidetracked because at the end of the day, you only got so much TV time. But we'll see. Hopefully, Ricochet continues to get the shine he's been getting because he's been doing great.
I can't wait for the unified title. Do you know what I mean? What would you give it out of 5, Monty? Anyway.
I give him 4.25.
I'm going to give it 3.5. Predictions. James and Monty went Ricochet. Jaxie went Bobby Lashley. And Jean, as she said, did not give one. So it means Jaxie and Monty are on 6. I'm on 5. Gina is on 3 with a no holds barred match. John Moxley versus Kyle O'Reilly next. And Mox had a plan and carried himself with confidence against Kyle, but nothing he could do was going to stop O'Reilly from tapping out with an ankle lock again at the end of this bloody technical battle. While Mox gave a nod of respect, afterwards he still attacked the vulnerable O'Reilly, kicked at his injured leg arm until the conglomeration made the save. Jaxie, I mean, can I just say so? I think this type of match is probably the most repeated in AEW. Do you know what I mean? I think we've seen this type of match so many times. And that's not taken away from what we saw in it. But again, it's just like, how many times can we actually see this type of match?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was actually one of the matches that both my sister and I were watching and calling it as it happened, like as each sort of thing happened. Like it's sort of becoming a repetitive tale when it comes to the Death Riders, sort of like seeing one of them starting to struggle in the ring and then come out and cause distraction and things like that. But also it's kind of like, how are the Death Riders not learning from mistakes at the moment? Because they're coming out and they are not helping at all because they're taking L's here, there, and everywhere. So yeah, what good did this do? Like it, I don't know. This match just felt like it could have been on a Collision because we've already seen this on a Collision,
Yeah, and again, Monty, we've seen Kyle O'Reilly, a few times, obviously back in NXT as well, maybe reaching that mountaintop, and it seems he suffered an injury in this match as well, so he hasn't been able to carry on the momentum gained here, which seems like another missed opportunity, annoyingly.
Yeah, I appreciate Mox though for like trying his best in this, in my opinion, of trying to get O'Reilly to that next level. You can tell that's obviously one of the focuses. And I always like Kyle's work. I thought this was a really good match too, even though you probably can nitpick if you wanted to here and there. It is. I do agree with you guys, right? It's like formulaic, so I think the more AEW you watch, you almost kind of know what's coming at times. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad mix. And I, like I said, I like Kyle, so I can understand it. But I don't know if this is giving Kyle what he needs as momentum wise. I don't know how people are really feeling about Kyle, but I do think this was fine. I am like, I do wish like Moxley could, we could freshen things up. That's why I kind of feel like the Death Riders are not are like on the downturn, but at the good because of how formulaic it is. But I do commend Moxley because he's been working, and you can tell he's trying to get people over now. Now that he's not on top as world champion, but it's I don't know. It's one of those things. But I did think this was solid, even though they probably could have did even better. But I thought this was really good.
Yeah. Gina, what I thought about this match was that Moxie loves a fork, as we know. It must be hard when he's eating not to stab someone. Do you know what I mean? How does he do that?
Honestly, I was literally my first comment for this match is Mox has a weird obsession with forks. It seems like every match he has to have one involved. If there isn't a fork, it isn't a Mox match. That's how
It's
it
just Renee
feels.
going to Mox, where's all the forks? Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Where I
either
can't get a
that
fucking
or
fork.
like
Don't
she
kink shame.
cringes every time they have dinner together because she just gets flashes of him bashing people's heads in with the said fork.
Yeah, let's have soup and pizza. That's
things that you don't need to use a fork for. But
Right.
I do agree with Monty in the sense of I feel like Mox is definitely on a flex where he's putting people over now. The matches do seem very repeated. It's not that I ever tire of them because I don't think you can. I think if you don't react to every single one, then you're kind of a psychopath anyway. But it's also quite repeated with Mox and the Death Riders and the brutality of these matches. So again, another thing that could have been held on a Dynamite or a Collision, but it was still a good match.
Yeah.
I still don't have any bad things to say about the match itself, apart from don't eat dinner whilst watching it.
So we'll do out of 5 then. Jackson, what would you give it?
I thought this match was really good. The wrestling between Kyle O'Reilly and Mox was just incredible, and Kyle looked again amazing in this match. For that, I'm gonna give it a 4 3/4 because I really did enjoy it. But yeah, like again, could have been like a 5-star match on Collision.
Monty?
Yeah, I give it 4.25. I thought this was solid.
4.25. Gina?
Yeah, I'll go 4.25 as well.
Yeah, I gave it 4.25. Predictions. Jackson, Gina went Mox. James and Monty went Kyle O'Reilly. So it means Monty's on 7, Jaxie and James on 6, Gina on 3. The amount of times the scores changed on this show were so difficult to keep up with, but I promise you they are the correct scores. TNT Championship, no DQ, Cole Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe. Carl Fletcher showed his grit and brutality in a vicious, bloody affair, kicking out of multiple insane spots in this match. However, Chicken simply would not give up, finally finding the answer to the protostar with a crucifix powerbomb through a barbed wire table and a J driller on thumbtacks to win. Wow. Monty, I mean, what were your thoughts on this? Because Fletcher was just one win away from most reigns as TNT champion.
Did you hear what you just said? What type of match was about for Colorado? It was no holds barred. This one is no DQ. So I think that's just a default match type for AEW sometimes. Just we'll book it right back, back to back. Like I guess I get it though. Like think about what you said the finish of this match was, and right before that match, we technically had a no holds barred. That's crazy. But anyway, this is I thought this was good though. Don't get me wrong. This is probably the best match I've seen these two have, and I think every match they kind of had has been pretty good. It was a good finale to what they've been doing. I think Fletcher again. If I don't know if it's Kyle Fletcher or Takeshita. I don't know how you could talk about two of the just the best wrestling in this company without talking about them both, especially without like Osprey and Swerve being gone from injury and all that. But of course you got Hangman, but like when you think about best consistency and just like match by match and doing really really good stuff, Fletcher's been on a roll for a while now, and I think he's been having an excellent year. Even if you make, whether you like him or not. And I think Briscoe, the storytelling, you know what I mean, and just like him overcoming what he does, and I was shocked. I'm not gonna lie, but I was still shocked. But I'm not gonna act like Briscoe don't deserve it. Like you can look at a guy like Fletcher and be like, how can you take the title off of him? With the work he had been doing. But I think you can't. You'll be kind of crazy if you've been watching this feud this whole time and thought and didn't think Briscoe was worthy of it. And I thought a match like this is a great testament to why, because the way he just fights down from underneath, and the way the people really, really, really love him. I think it's really cool to see him overcome a guy like Fletcher. And Fletcher, we all know he'll be in the world title picture probably next year. Like we can all see it. But this is a great moment and a great victory, in my opinion, for a guy like Mark Briscoe, man. Yeah, man, it made you feel good, and I thought the match was executed really well.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think with Fletcher, for me, he's been the best champion, TNT champ since Darby Allin. It feels, bringing that kind of tradition back to the championship. If it's even that, because like I said, it's been so diluted recent times. But Gina, another thing that Monty said was, Mark Briscoe does deserve this, and not just because of anything that's happened personally, but because of the journey he's been on, and the reaction from the crowd told you what a big moment this was.
Yeah, definitely. Mark Briscoe is like the epitome of the underdog in every kind of feud and match that you would find out there. And he's always just persevered, put people over, and always been loved for it. Him and his brother were both always loved together as a tag team, but even as an individual and a single, Mark just has that aura that people love and respect, and you can just feel it throughout everyone, like the crowd and the wrestlers alone. So yeah, he definitely deserved this tenfold, and I do feel like if anyone was going to dethrone Kyle Fletcher, with how much they've been pushing Kyle Fletcher, which rightly so as well, because I think he's been doing well since taking the TNT title. I definitely feel like Mark Briscoe was the right person to dethrone him.
Yeah, without a doubt. And thumbtacks and tables. I mean, that would make a good match type, I suppose. But Jackson, I guess AEW does things a bit backwards sometimes. Because again, we still had
It's like a
thumbtacks and
TNT match, Some thumbtacks and tables. They don't want to play on that. That could be a new T-shirt.
that would work. That would work actually. But again, as we said, this was a good
That
match.
would,
But again,
it would also like sort of accumulate to what the TNT title represents at this point. With when you look at its history of uh championship holders right now, you're just missing Mox off of that list in terms of like top crazies, top craziest wrestlers and craziest matches so far. I don't really have much more to add, to be honest. I think that there was like a lot of valid points in this match and stuff that I agree with. I feel gutted for Kyle Fletcher not to actually reach that sort of goal and sort of like take over that, but at the same time, if you weren't gonna actually put the belt on Mark Briscoe at this moment in time, then you would have just wasted everything that you've done with him so far at this point. So this felt like it had to happen.
yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I should say, thumbtacks and tables is TNT as well. All right. I guess we knew that. Out. Damn, we're getting deep. Out of 5 then for this match, Monty, what would you give it?
Uh, man, I was told I gave this the same score I gave the LTR match because I just know they were my favorite matches, at least so far. So yeah, I gave it like 4 3/4. I think I gave that's what I gave LTR. So yeah.
Yeah. Gina
Um, yeah, I'll give it 4.5.
and Jax.
This got 4 3/4 from me too.
4 3/4. I've got 4.5 predictions. Now then, Monty went Fletcher and the rest went Briscoe. So it means Gina's on 4 and the rest are on 7 as we head into our final few. I say few matches because I don't know how many. Every time I see another match, I go, fucking that was on the card as well, wasn't it? The $1 million prize match: Jurassic Express and Kenny Omega versus Young Bucks and Josh Alexander. This was a wild trios battle. Omega managed to get his personal revenge on Alexander with a one-winged angel, but the Young Bucks sealed the victory with a BTE trigger on Perry. After Don Callis tried to lead away Matt and Nick while the family attacked the ankle of the cleaner, the Young Bucks made a decision and turned on Callis and his family, saving Omega. The Elite shared a hug and then helped Omega to the back with Jurassic Express. Gina, I mean, the match was fine, and again, we see a lot of this match, but obviously, it was what happened afterwards with the Bucks finally helping their friend.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like we all knew this was coming. I personally didn't know it was going to happen in this match. I kind of felt like it was going to happen later on. Maybe they would get guilt from this match, maybe, and then turn face. But I think that is the main takeaway from it. There's not much per se, apart from, everybody did well by themselves in this match, but still I think the main part is the ending, and with the Bucks finally going back to their face personas and helping out their friend. Not mad at it. I'm really happy. It was a real feel good moment, and I definitely was smiling and happy to see them turn face again.
Yeah, without a doubt. Jackson, talk about match. I need to mention Josh Alexander because I think he's criminally underrated. I don't know if you've seen much
Hmm.
of Josh Jacks, but my God, he can do everything, and I'm just waiting for him to get in that position.
Yeah, I mean, I like had sort of written down like how impressed I was by Joshua Alexander in this match. Like, I think he really like did kind of go underrated throughout a lot of what's been happening storyline wise at the moment because he's kind of really not involved. He's just kind of like the friend that is part of that team that is like, oh, they disrespected you, okay, yeah, well, I'll help you get them, you know. But like you can't deny that he's not like the muscle, like, because he really is. He's just like very impressive to watch in the ring. Overall though, again, agree a lot with a lot of what's been said. I felt like potentially this was going to come at a later date with sort of the Young Bucks. Like, you know, with them picking up the win, I thought, you know, like straight away they're just going to lavish in, you know, you being able to make use of this money and maybe continue to be assholes for a bit longer. But I can't say that I'm not mad. You know, sort of like the ending of this match and the outcome. I just hope that that means that like all players involved might actually go into different storylines now, because this has also been an ongoing storyline for a while now, and that's the thing with AEW. They have very long standing stories, creative wise. That like the payoff doesn't happen until much later, and sometimes you lose momentum. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that now, like, you know, with the return of Jack Perry, whether or not they go for a tag run or a singles run at this point, you know, he'll go in a different direction. Young Bucks, they were on this broke flux, but hopefully they're in the midst of now changing into a face, you know, and maybe reuniting with Kenny, maybe even going trios division. Who knows? I'm just glad to kind of see like it's come to a nice close so that we could potentially see these players involved in different storylines.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Monty, like I said, I think Jaxie put it really well there. And again, we need face groups as well. We talk about the Death Riders and, of course, the Don Callis family who didn't really need the Bucks, and the Ops. And you need someone to fight. So I guess the Bucks and Omega, as you mentioned earlier with the history, makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, man, I'm not mad about it because I kind of understand where it's coming from. And I also wonder how much thought is put into this based on where we think Kenny Omega is overall too. Because I think we all know whether we want to. I think he's. I think people are starting to come to grips with it. I think AEW will be fine, but Kenny Omega is already seeming to be in the era right of at least currently up to where we feel like he's probably gone or at least done before. He has a continuous run, being in AEW. He's been tough. He's been able, just been tough to get back to where he used to be. Now, I'm not saying he won't, because anything can happen. I mean, we've seen people retire, come back, all types of stuff. But it just don't feel like Kenny is anywhere near where he was. But I think this storyline though, and I think what Kenny has been doing since whenever he's around, he's been at least trying to tell ongoing stories. But I thought this was good. I thought the match itself was okay. It wasn't anything insane or anything. I thought everybody did well, but maybe you can even say it could have been better. But I just think uh that they did what they could, and I thought the stuff after the match really made it feel relevant. Yeah, it's another one of those money stipulations, but I kind of knew where this one was coming from. But again, I agree with you, James. Josh Alexander, it's good to see him in this spot because he's still so underrated. But at the end of the day, I think this is one of those storylines that just make AEW what it is. You kind of always got to clear out a spot on the card for a Young Bucks dramatic type, but spot fest type of match because that's what this was. But they did what they needed to do. I thought it was good. But yeah, man, it's kind of funny to me when I look at where like Okada or Takeshita is and just how far away you feel like Kenny Omega is from that currently.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mentioned it, especially when you compare like AJ Styles and Kenny Omega at this moment in time. It seems crazy that it's going to be AJ that's going to be one for time. Not that I want Kenny to, but obviously, like I said, even taking some time off has not worked at this moment. So we'll see what happens. What annoyed me was the Bucks turning after the match, the bastards. Anyway, out of 5 for this one. Gina, what would you give it?
This one, gosh, do you know what? I'll give it a 4.5 because I was still very entertained. And like you said, Josh Alexander pulled through, had his moments. They all looked good. I am annoyed by the ending because I went the opposite, but 4.5 is still good.
Yeah. Jaxie?
Yeah, I'll go 4.5 on this too.
Yeah. Monty?
Yeah, 4.5.
4.5, and I'm on a 4. And much like watching an AEW pay-per-view, I promise we are nearly done. We're going to get through it, all right? Predictions all went Jurassic Express and Kenny Omega. So Gina's on 4, the rest are on 7. And we got the Women's World Championship, Chris Statlander versus Mercedes Moné next. And Moné threw everything she could at Stat throughout this battle, but the champion worked smarter and stronger. These women have so much chemistry in the ring, and it's a worthy conclusion of one of AEW's best in-ring trilogies. They started fast and never allowed the pace to slow too much with an inconsistent crowd reaction, annoyingly. What was more important in the match was to highlight Stat's evolution from the previous 2 matches to now, and they did that. Even with the injury slowing her down, she looked more confident and proved to be too much for Moné, finally getting the win back against the CEO. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this one?
This was a great match. Like you said, like one of the things I've got written down here is like the chemistry that these two had with each other. Like I just couldn't take my mind off of, like my eyes off of either of them. They were just so impressive to watch, and just, I kind of don't know how much they actually have worked together, like sort of even on the indie scene, but just watching them was kind of mesmerizing,
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, like I think this was one of my favorite matches of the night card. Um, you know what? I'll probably give this a 4 3/4 as well. Like I think overall, like this did exactly what it needed to do, and just had a lot of hype behind it, and they delivered.
Yeah, without a doubt. Monty, and again, I mentioned this to you because Mercedes Moné now is legendary, and I use that word sparingly with some. It's one thing to have titles; it's another to deliver in ring every time. And this run has just been amazing, even if she come up short again.
I wonder why it seems to be so hard for some people to acknowledge it, man. I mean, I don't know what Mercedes does to people, especially if you just listen to the conversation that people have online. It's like, why is it so hard for some people to give her that credit? Because I don't know how you can deny it. I mean, like you said, the results are there. She's been excellent. She was already iconic, or like, a history maker for what she did
Hmm.
before she came to AEW. But what she's been doing, like whether people would like it or not, or whether they believe, or whether they like her or not, or like her story, like the story or not. She goes out here and she's the most prominent or most featured in one of the most featured matches every pay per view, and she delivers. It's always really good stuff, and it's just been her. Like you said, this series with Status count now up there with some of those feuds you think about in AEW. If you ask me, if you just think about how good all 3 of these matches were, and I think Status finally also, at least from what I'm seeing, getting credit for just being the great performer that she is, and I think a lot of that when you come away from a match and you just appreciate where your champion, how Stat kind of really feels like the best woman in AEW right now, and we know that it wasn't that long ago where she was losing to Mercedes and couldn't really get over that hump, and to kind of see her with like a world champion confidence now, and just the way they wrestle, they have great chemistry, and I just like you said, the fact that they can weave storytelling from the other matches that they had, it's just a credit to how great they are. And Mercedes has been on another level for so long. So yeah, I would agree, James. I don't see how you can really argue with her being of legendary status at this point, and just like you said, on one of the greatest runs of all time. And she is definitely one of my like candidates for like when we do the awards. Like how can you not consider Mercedes for Wrestler of the Year for just what she's been doing, and she deserves all the credit in the world. But Stat also, in my opinion, earned some of that air and some of that conversation too, because every time these 2 wrestle is great, and I think she's been a great champion early in this run, even though it hasn't been that long. I feel like we're just getting started with just scratching the surface. What's that?
Yeah, without doubt. Gina, a couple of things. I don't know if Chris was meant to go that far with her crash landing, but it was different, and I liked it because I've never seen a spaceship land in an arena before. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. It was something new to experience. So, I mean, if they feel it worked, then I'll take it.
And also, I love Monet, but can she not challenge for a while? You know, can someone rather than her or maybe Tony Storm not challenge and let Chris Statlander find someone else? You know, is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, people have been, loving Mercedes and also hating her, saying that she's winning everything. When in actuality, she has been taking L's here and there as well. She lost to Tony, she lost to Chris, so she has been taking L's and she's been putting her work in. So yeah, I'm not mad at Mercedes, but I also don't feel she needs any more wins, or at least title challenges at this point, unless those title challenges are for one of her currently owned ones.
Yeah.
So the thing is, she puts on great matches. She hasn't been hurt by this loss, just like she wasn't hurt by it taking the loss from Tony. But it's also a case of, okay, yeah, but how many times are you going to have her challenge for these same belts to not win them? So yeah,
Yeah.
in my eyes, there has to be a time where she loses the, what belt does she have for AEW? The
TBS.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, yes, I'm losing sight of all the belts she's got. When she finally does lose that TBS belt, I think then she should be in line for the women's championship. I don't think she should be holding both at the same time, just
Mhm.
for the sake of adding a number to her belt collection. So yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get something like that happen in Mercedes' future. But again, I agree with Monty and Jax. This match went hard, and it was one of my favorites on the match card.
Yeah. So, Jack, so I got you out of five. So, Monty, what's your out of five?
4 1/4.
4 1/4. And Gina?
I'm gonna give this one 4 3/4.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 4 3/4 as well. Predictions, we all went stat. So Gina's on 5. The rest are on 8 as we head to the main event, which was the World Championship on the line. Hangman Adam Page versus Samoa Joe in a steel cage match. Hangman Adam Page fought with every fiber of his being to keep his men's world championship, but the Ops had too many tricks up their sleeve. The Cowboy took out both Shibata and Hobbs. Hook arrived and blasted Hangman to set up a muscle buster for the victory. As the Ops celebrated, the lights went out and Swerve Strickland arrived with Prince Nana. Joe retreated as the mogul laid out the Ops dojo members. He stood alongside the Cowboy in the ring. Monty, one question I have to ask you: how does Samoa Joe keep doing it? You know, like I just don't know. To put it in perspective, right? Back in 2016, well, maybe 2015, I've started doing Joe Watch on the WNR podcast for him in NXT. I never would thought in 2025 he would be a world champion again. It's incredible.
Yeah, man, it's insane. Especially when you think about like a guy that every time when I was growing up, I would think about Samoa Joe would probably be in relation to a guy like AJ Styles. So you think about where we look at AJ Styles and what he just announced is going to be happening for him next year versus where we are with Joe. And Joe also mentioned that seeing John go and talking about AJ's retirement that he's thinking about not being around much longer, at least in wrestling full time, maybe down the line or sooner than later. And so when I heard that, I definitely was like, okay, the likelihood of him being the world champion then is probably not going to be a big thing. But at the same time, like you said, it's Joe, and I think he's just so good, and this match was so physical, and I was shocked. I think all in it felt like the beginning of like another a real lengthy indestructible world title reign for Hangman. At least that's what you kind of felt like because he just felt like he was crowned the guy. We had just got over the Moxley thing, but I'm not necessarily opposed to this. Maybe because it's Joe, but also maybe because it's I do think it might not be the right decision, but I can't. I will wait to see if this is even one. If this is going to be a long type of change, will Heyman be able to just get it right back, or if this is situation like if it's more to this, like I want to shit on it immediately, but it's Joe. You know what I mean? I think he's giving you believable work. He's always been better as a heel, and I think the ops themselves are, I do love Joe being in this position. But yeah, it's amazing when you think about where he's at in his career and how this might be the peak of his career overall, even over the TNA days. Forgot, even back then, I don't remember him being or feeling like as much of a big deal or like world champion territory as much as he is now. So it's amazing, and I love Joe. And but I don't know, man. I don't know how to feel. It'd be interesting to see where we're going with this as far as Hangman because it definitely felt like we were due something more special for Hangman's reign. When you think about how long it actually lasted, even though I thought he was doing good, but at the same time, I'm interested to see where we're going with Joe leading and having the op. Even though I do think the interference and stuff in this match, kind of made me feel like, oh Lord, don't turn the ops into the death process.
In a steel
But
cage match, should I say as well? Interference in
right,
a cage match. No, I'm
it was
not gonna.
crazy. Man.
I don't
It's like,
know.
what the hell are we doing? But yeah, so again, I don't know how to feel about it, but I thought the match itself still was okay, even though I think for our main event, we probably deserve even better in that regard too. But this
Yeah.
this result is what it is. I don't know. It's definitely still shocking me.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Gina, like I said, I think it shocked all of us, didn't it? With Joe beating a Hangman, and again, we mentioned. I think Hangman, we thought would just have a really long reign, and now it's like, oh shit, what's going on? But Swerve being back, I think is good news all round as well.
Yeah, definitely. I was truly shocked. I mean, I didn't expect this ending to happen. I thought he was going to have a much longer run. The one thing I will say that I think I've noticed about Tony is that he prefers having heel male um
Mm.
title
Yeah,
holders. Um, like obviously loves like Tony for the women's championship and the faces for that, but still, I just feel like with the males division, especially, they just always love the heels to have them. So the faces don't really get long runs. It's like a couple of weeks or like two pay-per-views in and they've lost, So it does feel quite. It feels like a limited title. should say the limited AEW World Champion. That's how it feels like it should be described at this point. But yeah, it was a great match. I just didn't see this coming.
Mm. And again, though, I mean, they've got World's End at the end of December, and then there's like a 3 month build to, I think, Revolution. So if the end game is Swerve versus Hangman, and to get there,
Yeah,
we have to go
but so
through
do you
this, it
think?
might.
So you think Joe will lose it in between then?
Yeah, I think maybe
Which is
Swerve
another kind
beats.
of like sad thing because that means it's another short run.
I think Swerve and Hangman's the money match, isn't it? If
For
we're looking
sure,
at
for
big,
sure.
we're looking at big matches. But then again, Osprey returning will need a heel champion maybe to face as well. And yeah, again, it's all like we said with AEW. It's going to take a long time. And I think Jaxie as well. When we talk about it, this was a good main event, but the problem is the crowd were knackered as well. They just had. Like I said, 13 matches. Most of them were bleeding him. I mean, Joe was bleeding everybody. There was blood spatter, and I don't think anybody
Yeah,
cared. Do you know what I mean?
I,
It's like we've
I
seen it.
think
We've seen it.
I think that is the best way to describe that match. I think I was just exhausted by the end of it, and like with the turn of Hook, like sort of like even coming out of nowhere, and Joe sort of he's like Joe is one of those wrestlers that is so great because there is so many unexpected moments that have come from his career, and like he's really kind of made this into a living for himself. So it's great to see in that sense. But I think that like even for me, it was such a late progress time, like I think I needed to like actually go to bed and wake up again and be like, as if like Joe just won the championship of Hangman. Like it took me that long to really kind of register sort of a title change like that. So I think at this point, going back on what my sister said, that this is the one thing that's like becoming like a trend is like these sort of short title runs, and I'm not entirely sure uh, as to why that is, unless like TK is just too hot on different people and being like, yeah, throw it on him right now because he's hot.
Also, again, I don't know. It's shocking in certain ways, but maybe because it's pay per view buys. Go for if you didn't buy this pay per view, you wouldn't see the new champion. Or I don't know. But again, It just seems a bit weird, but I'm not going to complain. We like I said, the WNR been following Joe since back in his NXT days. I think it's only a good thing. We shall see though. So out of 5 then for the main event, Monty, what would you give it?
I'll give it a 4.
Give it a 4. Gina?
Yeah, I'll give this a 4 too.
Yeah. Jaxie?
I gave this a 4.25 for the little shock turn. I didn't really know what I expected from Huck since his return, especially because since changing his music, I feel like there's less impact of what when he comes out. I don't know, the music just doesn't work for me. But also there was shock. I didn't see a turn like this happening from Hook. If this was meant to happen, I would have seen it happen on a main pay-per-view. So yeah, 4.25 for that reason.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4. So much for the steel cage. Predictions, the final scores then. Gina on 6, James, Jaxie, and Monty on 9, which means the AEW Prediction League, Jaxie and James stood on 2, Gina on 3, Monty moves to 5 and cannot be caught. So, I mean, first off, Jaxie, congratulations for an AEW win. I will say that.
Woo! I mean, you guys couldn't let me have the glory though of just taking over the whole win, could you? Damn it, man.
Well, we are still locked, so we're going to find out who officially finishes bottom at Wells End. Will it be
Yep.
you or I?
The
So
pressure is on. The pressure is on. Bring it on, James. I'll beat your ass. Watch.
And it also means Monty does win another prediction league. He cannot be caught. So again, congratulations, Monty. You do win the AEW prediction league.
Monty.
That's insane.
Congrats, Monty.
Yeah, well done, mate.
Yeah, man. I know. I know. I know. I won't rub it in, even though I probably should.
Good. So overall, then we'll talk about obviously the rating, MVP, and match. Gina, start us off. Then, who's your MVP, and what would you give out of 10?
God, this is always such a difficult question, and I don't know why I don't think of it ahead in advance. Out of 10, I'll give it a 7. Again, I don't think we needed this many matches. The 0-hour matches weren't needed, etc. My MVP, do you know what? I think I'm gonna go with this. The Who is it? Who won it? The Timeless Love Bombs. I'm gonna give it to Tony and Mina for getting the win. Yeah.
Tony and Mina. All right. Jaxie. Well, sorry, Gina. Your match was FTR and Brodido as well, from what I saw. Jaxie, what would you give it?
As in the
Wait,
pay-per-view
sorry.
overall.
I thought my match would have been Mercedes and Chris. Can I actually give it to them?
I will switch that.
Thank you.
All right, go on, Jax.
Okay, sorry. Are you asking me to do overall pay-per-view score?
Yeah, give it overall pay-per-view, MVP, and your match as well, because you got too many 4 3/4.
Okay, so I think in general, I'm just gonna give it a 7.75. I did enjoy certain matches on here. Can you remind me which matches I've given most?
Oh boy, 4 3/4. FTR Brodido, the Mox and Carl match, the Fletcher and Briscoe match, and the Mercedes and Chris Statlander match.
Okay, match of the night, I'm going to go Mercedes and Chris Stat. I think MVP, I'm going to actually give it to Mark Briscoe because, to be honest, I didn't see this payoff coming and him actually being pushed as a champion. And I questioned for weeks, why is he getting so much of a push? He's picking up so many wins here and stuff like that. This is why. So I am going to give him that MVP because this is a sort of a shock title win that I saw coming when I did the predictions, but didn't see in the long run actually happening or taking place.
Monty, same to you as well.
Overall, I give it like an 8. I think Fletcher and Briscoe would probably be match, and like MVP, I'm gonna go Samoa Joe, and Chris Statlander.
Joe and Stat. Yeah, overall, I'm going to give it an 8.5. Monet versus Stat is my match for night. And yeah, MVP is Briscoe as well. All right, on to Dynamite and Collision notes. The Continental Classic has started. The 2025 Continental Classic Blue League is John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Takeshita, Roderick Strong, Mascara Dorado, and Orange Cassidy. The goal leaders are Carter, Speedball, Bailey, Carl Fletcher, Kevin Knight, Pack, and Darby Allin. Before we get into the matches, Jaxie, what were your thoughts on those lineups? Because, of course, no Kyle O'Reilly because of injury, which was a bit of a bummer. But elsewhere,
I mean, like there was a bit of shock in terms of the amount of uh like members of the Death Riders were actually involved in this match. Not as in shock as in, I'm disappointed by that, but like that I was pleased to see that they're all kind of on a like being like placed on a similar level in terms of Claudio and Pac, and what they could actually bring to it. It wasn't a shock with seeing Claudio. Like so far, he's really been sort of like one of the like memorable wrestlers that has wrestled in I think every single Continental Classic so far. But also I was really excited for Pac to join this lineup. I think that he could actually do great in this lineup as well. Okada's got some very strong contenders in this sort of lineup. Like he's got members of the Don Callis family also in this match, as we'll talk about. And yeah, this is definitely an interesting one because there are so many sort of like team members, like even Jet Speed. Both Kevin Knight and Jet Speed are both part of this, and I was actually pleased to see that. I think both of them have been so impressive as a tag team. But you also, if you picked up the occasional collision here or there, you do see both Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey in singles matches where they've really like shone. Even if they've picked up an L, they've really shone in those matches singularly. So I was quite excited to see this lineup, to say the least.
yeah, without a doubt. So the first match was Okada versus Carl Fletcher in Gold League. I guess the Unified title is gone. Okada has the International title now, and Carl beat Okada clean. In Blue League, Mox beat Mascara Dorado. Gold League, Kevin Knight upset Darby Allin. Claudio beat Mox in Blue League action. Gold League, Pat beat Speedball. And Takeshita beat Strong with Blue League action. Gold League, Okada beat Pac. Fletcher beat Knight. And then Claudio put down Moxley in the Blue League. Monty, I know I just ran through the results. There were a couple of surprises there. Maybe Claudio beating Moxley. And of course, opposite Fletcher downing Okada to start us off.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good start. I think like the pack, even though Mike Bailey, that was some good stuff, and Takeshita and Roger Strong, like they started off they're starting off really really good, and I give this the classic a lot of shit because it is an imitation G1, but it is still a hack, and it's the reason why I've been saying for years before years before AEW existed, I was saying WWE should be trying to do round robin like G1 style tournaments. It's just like a hack for content, and you can just make so many storylines, or play off so many storylines, or just make great matches. And I think AEW is good at that. So even though I give it shit because we know it's like a borrowed G1 thing, but I still think it's good because their talent is so good. It still end up being some really good TV.
Yeah, without a doubt. And then women's tag semi-final action. Harley and Willow beat the Sisters of Sin, and Tony and Mina defeated Shafir and Bane. Gina, any surprises there that the final's going to be Tony and Mina versus Harley and Willow?
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked at this. It's not that I'm not mad at this at all in any way, shape, or form, but I was quite shocked, if I'm truly honest, because I kind of thought that they would go into the final with one face and one heel team, because this final seems like two faces. But I also am not mad at it because I will agree that the two women tag teams have been great throughout this whole tournament, and they've both been loved. I think had Bane been with her original partner, which was Penelope, I think they actually might be in this final because they were sort of on a bit of a killing streak as a tag team when Penelope wasn't injured. But unfortunately, she is injured, so she wasn't able to take part in this. And they just swapped Marina in because she's another fellow heel that has beef with some of these ladies. So it made sense to put them together, but it wouldn't have made sense for them to go all the way because they're a newly appointed tag team, and for those two to go into the final over these two tag teams who are well appointed tag teams, yeah, I definitely agree they went with the right choices here, but I was shocked for sure. I did think that Marina and Bane were going to be in the final.
Yeah, without a doubt. And elsewhere, Op celebration was cut short by Swerve and Hangman, who just looked right together. The Dark Order, remember them? They lost to the Ops, and Eddie Kingston has next, and Daniel Garcia beat Daddy Magic. Unfortunately, Collision was past cut-off, and we will catch up with the rest of the Continental Classic on the Wells End podcast. So that is basically it. Jaxie, I'll just ask you first. Well, I'll ask you over the others. What are your thoughts on AEW from what we've just caught up with? Because we've caught up with a lot, but I think we've done well.
Yeah, I mean there is a lot going on right now. That's all I could say. And I think, like it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's definitely a lot to keep up with, especially if you're even trying to consider it like, Wrestle Ring of Honor within that mix. I think there's some really good storytelling going on here. I do think like creatively wise, like they really could do with sort of upping the pace a little bit. It's getting a little bit uh e- exhausting, maybe, like trying to kind of keep up with all current storylines that are going on with AEW. Like if you're trying to tell something, like push that like one week and then push something another. But with more titles coming in the picture, I really hope that creative really do pick up on like keeping the momentum going with each title picture and whatnot. But overall, like, there's so much interest going into sort of World's End. I think at this point, there's so many storylines that are like kind of coming to a close. So hopefully new ones will be opening, but also at the same time, there's a lot of like storylines that hopefully will be finished, like come World's End. So especially when it comes to the WNR, there is definitely a lot of hype going into World's End as to see who's really going to kind of come out overall, whether or not it's going to be Jax or James. That's the real match going into this.
Yeah, I mean, we all know Monty's won everything, don't we? So again,
Yeah.
that's going to be. We're just going to find out
That's
who's the
irrelevant.
biggest loser.
We're just gonna pretend that Monty's like not really there right now or in the picture. But yeah, we're gonna focus on the real battle, which is who comes second.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what matters. So that is it. Don't forget, we're across all social media, X at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Pod James. You can find the entire WNR team on the banner. Jaxie, where can people find and follow you?
You can find me on Twitch, X, and Instagram at Jaxie Scarlett.
Monty?
At House of Torture with Dick Shaw.
Gina?
At Purple Pain.
Yeah, the Dublin also on Facebook and Instagram. Send us an email, the Dublin Podcast at gmail.com, and YouTube, the Dublin Podcast. We're celebrating 10 years of the WNR with shorts, universe modes, and clips from any event we go to. All the podcast, and the podcast is also live on YouTube and also SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode will be NXT Deadline, and we'll be back as a whole group to cover Survivor Series and John Cena's final match in a couple of weeks. Until then, I've been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Jaxie, again, well done for the win today, because it doesn't happen often.
Patting myself on the shoulder, but you know what? It's only upwards from here. Watch this space.
Of course, the mind of Monty, another podcast, another prediction league win, eh?
Doing so much better than you, James.
Thanks, mate. And of course, the genius of Gina. And Gina, no one's talking about you. Jaxie, you hear the disrespect. Jaxie was like, did mention you when you come second. You're probably in a better position than she is.
Yeah, no, James, I probably lost it this year. 2026 is probably going to be my crowning year, but I've just stayed quiet for that reason. We'll see if I get a comeback, but it's very doubtful at this point. So, yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? Well, that is it. Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.